Hi, my name is Jennifer Hepton. I am a pregnancy loss speaker, writer, and awareness advocate. I'm also a certified conscious parenting coach, trained with Dr. Shafali, and I hold space for women who are parenting after loss, but also women in their motherhood journey and women who desire to move into a place of consciousness and awareness, and also to heal in their motherhood journey so that they can hold space for their children so their children can also be resilient and mindful. I am so honored to be here, to be working with lesser known writer, to share this video with you and to share a little bit of my journey in hopes that it will support you, and also some tips, strategies, and tools that you can take with you after this video. So I'm here to talk about and normalize the discussion around pregnancy loss in our motherhood journey. When we move into our motherhood journey, we feel optimistic, we feel positive, we feel excited. However, 1 out of 4 women experience pregnancy loss, but we don't talk about it. And it's a time where we feel really alone. And a lot of emotions start to arise, especially grief. Now, I know this personally because my fertility journey was 11 years long. And in that fertility journey, I experienced miscarriages, stillbirth of my beautiful daughter. I had to terminate our twins for medical reasons, and I went through IVF, IUI, and egg donor. I truly believe that the reason we don't talk about this is because it's so painful. It's a painful experience, and society, cultural conditionings, parental conditionings, the society tells us that pain is something that we should not share. Pain should not be talked about. And so we hold on to this pain, and it can start to really create a stuck feeling, a loneliness. So just because it's painful doesn't mean that you have to be defeated. Just because it's painful doesn't mean that you don't have to share your story, right? You have a choice. There is an opportunity. Okay. It doesn't mean that you are alone. It does not mean that we don't have to talk about it. We can talk about it. So, as I mentioned before, my fertility journey, my motherhood journey was 11 years long. My motherhood journey has been full of experiences and emotions. And the biggest growth opportunity or growth journey I have ever taken. And that is what happens when we experience pain. I now have a beautiful rainbow baby who's 2.5. He is a toddler, and it was a beautiful experience because we used a surrogate and an egg donor, and so it took a lot of science and a lot of love for my son to be with us today. If you've experienced a pregnancy loss, I want you to know that you are not alone. Even though it might feel like you're the only one in the world experiencing this pain, this grief, I get it. I felt the same. When we experience pregnancy loss, our world changes, our mind changes, our body changes, our community changes, and our belief system changes. Because what we are experiencing is trauma, infertility trauma. I want us to talk more about infertility trauma because it can stay with us if we don't. It can stay with us, and we need to be able to create space to identify trauma, to understand what trauma does to us. Now, infertility trauma does not define us, but it can take over our mind. And if we don't have the support that we need, it can take over our life. Our mental health during fertility is extremely important. And that is why normalizing this discussion is so important in sharing, because in sharing stories and creating communities, is where we heal. We innately need that human connection to help us heal. So I will share what happens to your body and your mind after pregnancy loss, and some tools that you can store within your toolkit that have helped me and have helped a lot of my clients in our community. First, let's start with what happens to your mind when we experience a pregnancy loss. This is the grief. Okay, there is this immense amount of grief. And if we don't honor this grief and we don't lean into this grief, it can really change us on an epic scale. So when we do not honor our grief, we're unable to see how our brain changes and give it love and compassion. So another reason why I'm sharing this is to gain wisdom and awareness, because in that wisdom and awareness is where you will gain the compassion and forgiveness for what you're going through in your journey. So when we've experienced trauma, our brain changes because we are now in survival mode, as we need to survive something that has been traumatic, like loss. And when I say traumatic and when I say loss, it could be anything. It could be an early stage miscarriage. It could be continuous failed pregnancy tests. It's an accumulation of things that have happened that we are just not ready for. And so it's traumatic for our system. So what happens? What happens to our brain? Well, we may feel exhausted, so therefore we have a loss of concentration. We feel anxious. We feel hyper vigilant, which means that you are always aware of something, or you assume something bad will happen because you have to be in high alert because you've been through something traumatic. Now, this is all normal as your brain is trying to make sense of what's happening and needs all of its energy just to survive. So that's why you feel exhausted, and you can only do what the basic of survival is: eat, sleep. So it's okay to rest. This is your first big takeaway. It's okay to rest. It's okay to say no to that baby shower. It is okay to advocate for yourself. It is okay to change your mind. If you're not feeling like doing something at the last minute, you do not need to do it. And it's more than okay to ask for support and help and to advocate for yourself on a daily basis. Give yourself the space to feel all the emotions. This is another takeaway. You'll start to feel this immense array and roller coaster of emotions. And it's very important to acknowledge these emotions and not put them aside. Okay, so you may start to feel heightened anxiety or fear or loneliness or being scared. And this is completely normal because your mind is trying to make sense of what is happening. Okay, so how do you move and process through these emotions? Well, there's so much I can say about this, but for this particular video and this particular time that we're sharing together, let me give you a few things that you can do to help self-preserve. Okay, so when you are feeling an emotion, I'd like you to pause, take a couple of deep breaths if possible, and ask yourself, why am I feeling this emotion? What do I need from this emotion? What is this emotion telling me? Now, this is a practice that needs repeating, and it's something that will really help you sit in that space to help you process these emotions and not get stuck. So let me just remind you that it is important to grieve, that your mind will change because it's trying to survive a very traumatic event, loss. Some things that may help you is to see a therapist, to sign up for a support group. When you see a grief therapist or a therapist that specializes in pregnancy loss or trauma, then you're able to sit and allow someone to guide you through the process. A support group validates, normalizes your experience. Okay, so these strategies, takeaways, hopefully will resonate with you to help you understand your brain and understand, your journey. Now, second, let's look at the body and how it affects your body. And so again, sharing this wisdom and awareness for you so that you can move into a place of compassion. Your body will hold on to grief in so many different ways. It's unique to each of us. So each of us will feel it differently. You may feel joint pain. You may feel this whole body exhaustion. And this is completely normal. When experiencing loss, like as your brain chemistry changes, your body chemistry will change. Your body is adjusting to the trauma as your brain is. Movement is extremely important, and so is rest. So there's this balance of finding when you need to rest and when you need to move. And the reason I say movement is important is because the emotion of grief stays in your connective tissues and it can feel very stuck. And so movement allows the release and allows this letting go of these heavy, heavy emotions. Now, we're not letting go to forget about the emotions. We're allowing the emotions to have motion so that we can lean into it and heal. So doing both movement and rest is very important because your central nervous system needs both to be able to recalibrate, to be able to find that homeostasis that we need. How do you do that? Well, you sign up for a virtual yoga class, you go for walks, you take it slow, right? Maybe there's a favorite park or trail that you want to go to. And I remember the first time I went back to a trail that I used to go to whilst I was pregnant, it was really triggering and it was really hard. And so I would go for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I would cry. And I would know that this crying was a release for me because I knew, like I mentioned before, that pregnancy loss, infertility trauma changes your brain. And you will start to feel these emotions and you will start to move into a place of heightened awareness. And when that happens, crying is the release. Okay. So for the brain, understanding that, knowing what happens to the brain, asking for support, looking for a support group is really important. And then for your body, infertility trauma for your body, signing up for a yoga class, a nice gentle yoga class would be so amazing and therapeutic, but doing it when you are ready, of course, or going for a bike ride or going for a walk, whatever your body needs and what you've been used to. So understanding what happens to our mind and our body creates this place of awareness that allows us to heal and move into a place of integration. Integration of our mind and our body is so incredibly important to help with the human connection of healing, which in infertility trauma and pregnancy loss, they're so incredibly important. Pregnancy loss is a unique experience for each of us, and it's also a journey that you need to have that you do on your own. But you don't do it alone. Okay. There is a level of self-preservation and advocacy that you need to invite when you are ready. So feel all your emotions, listen to your body, and know that you are not alone in this painful experience. Such an honor to be here to share with you all this, to create a sense of awareness so that you can step into this compassion, the self-advocacy, the self-preservation that you need in your motherhood journey and your pregnancy loss journey. Feel free to DM me on Instagram if you have any questions, if you wanted to share. My Instagram handle is _conscious_motherhood. Or you can please visit my website, Conscious Motherhood, or my pregnancy loss resource page, which has videos and blogs posts at alosstransition.com. There are so many other communities that can support you in this. So please take the time to find something that really resonates with you, a community, a support group that resonates with you and helps to support you in your journey. Again, so honored to be collaborating with lesser known writer in this beautiful experience.